Down here with the 310 right now, just so everybody can see it, because we've been doing everything upstairs and showing pictures. And so, any final thoughts on what's going on, and any final things you'd like to talk about?
Well, this is my last couple of days with the 310 in my hangar. It's a sold machine. Guy from Chicago's coming to get it, and it's coming Tuesday. I'll take him up for a couple hours. But I have a lot of memories with this airplane. It's probably the finest twin that's ever been built, with the wing lockers and all that on it. And had a lot of great trips in it. And one of the ones that is very memorable, back in 2011, I planned to go to Oshkosh. Had a guy going to go with me, a pilot and all that. And the last minutes, I had to file IFR out of Crest here because it was cloudy. He canceled at the last hour, so I'm sitting there stewing. Should I go by myself IFR in a 310 all the way to Oshkosh? And so, crap, yep, I'm doing it. And so I got in it, called the traffic control people, said, how about giving me a clearance out of Crest Airport? And they said, okay, you're cleared at such and such a time. I took off at about 200 feet, called ATC. They said, we got you. I flew solid IFR all the way to Montana and landed there, fueled up, and it was pretty good weather all the way to Oshkosh, and spent my 3 or 4 days there. And then the weather really was bad in Oshkosh. So then what? So I taxi out because I was going to come back, and it's solid IFR. I called up and I said, I'd like a VFR clearance out of Oshkosh, because I hadn't filed a flight plan, you know. And they said, okay, 310, 57 Mike, you're cleared for a marginal VFR takeoff, okay. I said, okay, well, I took off. I was solid IFR, got to about 1,000 feet. I flew all the way back to Montana, IFR, no flight plan. Hope I don't get turned in for this, but at about 2,500 feet AGL, so I have traffic on board and radar and all that, so I didn't have a problem, you know, with anything. There wasn't anybody else flying anyway. So I got to Montana, I cleared up, and then I flew into Crest. So this airplane's had a lot of good experiences, and I'm going to miss it. I'm thinking now, after this is gone in a couple of days, I'm going to get myself an LSA. Well, we'll see.
Weren't you picking up some ice on the way into Montana?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I was going over Mullins Pass, if you're familiar with that. And Mullins Pass, it took me up to 14,000. I was on oxygen. Then I started picking up some ice. It wasn't a big deal, but I mean, you know, so I called up ATC and said, I'm getting a little ice. How about kind of get a little lower? They said, no problem. They give me immediate descent to 12,000, and I can turn off the oxygen. I have a really good system. I don't need oxygen until I get above, you know, 12, 13,000 feet. And so it wasn't, you know, the weather was smooth and as good as it gets going over the Rockies anyway.
You're just picking up light rime ice, basically?
Yeah, I got some ice in the windshield and the wings and stuff, but it wasn't bad, and it was off almost immediately as soon as I dropped a couple thousand feet. So, I mean, in this, I didn't have to worry about the hot props and stuff. And since then, I've been back and forth to Friday Harbor and knocking around in it, and things flying great. And the guy that's going to get it is getting it because he's got 3 kids and he wants the 6-seat capability, and he's got good electronics.
All right, so here we are, Dad. So,
you know, when I bought this thing back in 2002, it had old Collins radios in it, and so one of the first things I did was to have installed this GS 480, which was really a great, probably the best GPS I've ever owned. It's got buttons on it and things like that. It's not a touch screen. And then there's an NX20, which carries the very good pictures. And you've probably seen some of the earlier videos of the 310 flying, or what this thing looks like. I also have in it down here on the right is a strike finder, which is really great in storms once you and get in there and avoid that stuff over the Rocky Mountains. Added.
Yeah, okay. Oh, there it is. Yep.
Yeah, there. And then this HSI here is another one that's been upgraded, and it ties into the autopilot. Though I don't use the autopilot on here because why let the machine fly it when it's so much fun to fly it with yourself? Added a new transponder down here, the Garmin 300, and it's really good because it's upgradable to ABDS, which is going to be required in another couple of years. Over here are 2 engine analyzers, which I installed about the mid-2000s or so, and they tell you what the heat of the cylinders are and the exhaust temperature, so you can adjust the mixture to get the best, and you can make sure you don't overheat a cylinder, because you don't want any cylinders getting above 400 degrees, because it's not good. Other than that, it's pretty much SOP. I also put in a new transponder, not transponder, but a new communications, and SRL runs a VOR and a glide slope backup. Never had to use it because the GNS 480 works so good. And other than that, it's pretty standard stuff.
Yeah, and it's got 140 gallons of fuel, 40 gallons of aux.
Yep, 40 gallons of aux, and you can run them, cross feed and run the auxes back and forth. So it's really is handy. And in here, though it's not legal, is a DVD player and a CD player. CD player for music for the, your girlfriends are back there. Well, I don't have any of those, but if I did, that'd be great. And
well, and this is a 69P model, which is very, very similar to a Q. And so this panel, as it's laid out, is actually how this panel was in 1969. This really is a modern style instrument panel, the first one that Cessna pretty much built. The 68 is kind of similar, but the 69 was a drastic change, and that was kind of what they consider the first modern 310. It's got a 400 series nose gear, a straight down nose gear. It's a lot better nose gear than the 68 and older.
The main gear's been upgraded too to a stronger, better system, and so it has all the improvements. And this is number 15 they built. Actually, it was built in '68, and it's just like the cars do when they announce them ahead of time. But it has all the. And the thing is, it's a little bit lighter than the R and the Q models, and fairly efficient. So it's got all the stuff. I also added a seal around the door, which turns out I don't need it anymore because it seals up really good anyway. So that's it. I did add shoulder harnesses, Bass shoulder harnesses, in 2004.
Which are a must, absolute must.
All my airplanes have them. Actually, this bonanza on my back here is the one.
Oh yeah, you guys all know about that, I'm sure.
Yeah, the one that I put in shoulder harnesses and that, and then the guy crashed it and didn't put one on, and he ended up dying with. Anyway, that story's earlier.
All right, Dad. Well, this is it.
Okay.
We're signing off.